What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler of a video. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Drop a like if you do. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And also, the new holiday merch drop is live at goblin420.com. Head over to the website, even if you don't plan on buying anything, as every click helps me out a lot. And every single person who purchases a piece of merch, no matter how big or small, gets a personalized audio thank you message from me. Head over to the merch site today, goblin420.com. Thank you all so much for the support on that, and DM me your receipts so I can show you some love. Thank you guys, and real quick, let's take a moment for our sponsor. This video is brought to you guys by MyBookie, one of the best sports betting sites on the internet. And MyBookie is offering to double every first-time deposit when you sign up using code GOBLIN. With double the funds, you can double your action and your wins. Now, getting in has never been easier because they accept every currency, including cryptocurrencies. As we inch closer to the NFL playoffs, there are some pivotal games that you guys are going to want to bet on, including the 49ers on the Rams. That's going to be a good one that you guys don't want to miss. Don't wait. Head over to MyBookie today to redeem your double deposit bonus so you can get in the game and start winning. Just sign up using code GOBLIN and enjoy the fun on MyBookie. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Now let's dive into the video. So this took place back in summer of 2019, during my peak Coke Chronicles days. This is one of those stories that kind of got left out of that series because I didn't feel like it really deserved an episode, but it still deserves a video because it's a slapper. So on this particular day, I had woken up, and I woke up to a message from my good friend Alyssa. She's the one who originally put me on to my old Coke plug. Free that dude. But she hit me up and asked if I had any blow to sell, which I got back to her, and I did have a little bit. I told her I could only probably do a gram or two because I'm a fiend and do most of what I have, but anytime I got the opportunity to sell a gram or two for some quick profit to put towards my next re-up, I'm down as a clown. So she told me her friend, who we're going to call Miranda, needed some blow. Now, I didn't realize who she was referring to at first, but I'd actually met this girl like once, I think, once or twice. I remember recognizing her, but I don't really know from where. I think I met her with Alyssa one time. I don't know. But she gives me her friend's Snapchat, and I add her up. And I'm talking to her for a little bit, and she mentions that she only wants a gram, and she asks if I can deliver. So I'm like, yeah, no problem, send me your address, I'll see what I can do. She sends over her address to me, and at this point, I'm in full peak cocaine usage. So honestly, she could have lived 3 hours away, and if I made profit on that sale, my dumbass probably would have drove. So she sends me her address, and luckily she was only about 20 minutes away from me. So I scale out this gram while I'm at home, and I pack out a little extra for myself in a separate bag to bring with for while I'm out, because at this point, I was such a fiend that I was gumming coke at damn near every red light. Like, it might sound like I'm exaggerating, but I shit you not, at almost every other red light while I was in traffic, if I was geeked, I'm gumming a little bit more. Not a ludicrous amount, but just enough to keep my eyes a little wider, my pupils a little more fucked, you know what I'm saying? So I bag up this gram, and I've got my other little personal bag with me, which is probably like half a gram, because I wasn't planning to be out for long. And I hop in my car, and I drive over there. Now, the car I was driving at this point in my life was my old 1994 Cadillac DeVille. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably one of my favorite cars I've ever owned, if not my favorite. Like, there's a little part of me that even likes it more than the Benz I have now, right? Listen. It was fucked. For those of you guys who have been around for a while, you remember the Caddy. You remember what's wrong with it, but for some of you guys who might be newer, maybe just missed those videos, my Cadillac had a really strange issue where once you got past like a certain speed, the passenger side of the car would just start fucking dumping water on you. Now, this is going to become very relevant later in the story. Not right now, but later in the story. Because obviously, people don't want to have water dumped on them. But I'm driving alone, so I don't really give a fuck. I thought it was kind of a funny thing, honestly. Like, I speed up a little bit, and I get some hydration in the whip. Like, fuck yeah, dude, that's fire, Hold a cup up, dude. We got bevies right here. But either way, I hop in the Caddy, and I start driving over to her. This car, dude, I miss this car so bad. Every time I talk about it, I fucking miss it. R.I.P. to the Caddy. Man, the Pimp Mobile was the best. But either way, So I start driving over to Miranda's house, and it's about a 20-minute drive, and I get over there, and I pull up in her driveway and Snapchat her that I'm there. She tells me to just come on inside, so I hop out the whip and I go in, right? She's sitting on the couch just chilling. There's no one else home as far as I can tell. So I say, hey, I say what's up, and she's like, oh, like, hey, like, I think we've met before. No, I didn't, like, I kind of recognized her, but I didn't really know from where, so I was like, yeah, we might have met sometime, for sure, yeah, I remember you. You were there at that event, like, I don't fucking know who you are, but either way. So I sit down on the couch, and I lay out the bag of blow on the table, and, being a respectable business guy, I like to offer a little bump before I serve anyone. Unless they've tried my shit before, then fuck off, you don't need a bump. But I'd never served this girl before, so I offered her a little bump to try. She obliged, and she gums a little bit off the corner of the line that I did off my phone, because after we got in, I kind of sat down and chopped up a little for myself. She gummed that, and she was sold instantly. She was like, holy shit, this shit's fire. Like, I'll definitely take the gram. So, of course, I did have to tax her a little bit on the gram. First time custy, don't know who the fuck you are. That will be $80, please. So I receive my money, and now I'm fucking ready to rumble. She pays me, and I'm sitting there for a little bit, and I'm kind of getting ready to leave, but she's making a little bit of small talk with me, right? She's like, oh, so, I think I've, like, seen your YouTube channel before, which really caught me off guard, because how the fuck do you know that? Like, was Alyssa talking about it? I don't fucking know. But she brings up that she'd seen my YouTube channel before. She's like, oh, are you the, like, YouTube guy? And I was like, yeah, I make YouTube videos. A really interesting thing that used to happen to me a lot when I lived in my old town growing up is when I kind of started to get a little bit of traction on YouTube, a lot of people would just be like, oh, you're the YouTube guy. They wouldn't know Goblin. They wouldn't say anything like that. They'd just be like, oh, like, I heard you make YouTube videos or whatever. Which, sometimes the conversation gets a little awkward there because people always ask YouTubers, like, how much money they make. And it's uncomfortable. Why? You don't ask any other fucking job sector that question, dude. It's considered rude. But, like, YouTubers, the first thing people ask is like, oh, how much do you make doing YouTube and stuff like that. So she, of course, asked me that. She's like, oh, like, how long have you been doing it? Like, how much do you make? And I just told her, I was like, oh, nothing crazy. I mean, now I still live with my mom, and I drive a fucking 94, if that gives you an answer, right? But she seemed a little bit intrigued by it. So we're conversating a little bit more, but just some brief chat. And I'm getting ready to leave. I grab the remainder of my baggie of Coke off the table, and, I say, all right, well, thanks for copping. And she asked if I wanted to grab some food or something. Now, this caught me way out of fucking left field. I've never met this woman. Well, no, okay. I think I've met this woman before, but I don't know where. So we're just going to say I never fucking met this woman, right? This is one of my first times actually having a conversation with her. She asked if I want to go get lunch. I'm mildly coked up at this point, and I have fuck all better to do. So I'm like, yeah, I guess I could go for some lunch, whatever. I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm not thinking of this as like a date. Honestly, I wasn't even really that attracted to the girl. But, I mean, fuck it. I had nothing better to do. She does coke, so we have one thing in common. Maybe we could do some blow together. Let's make it happen. So we hop into the caddy, and, she's like, oh, give me a minute to come out. I got to go grab my purse or whatever. So I'm sitting in the driveway waiting for her, and she comes out and hops in shotgun. Now, we pull out of her driveway, and we start kind of driving away from her neighborhood, and I ask her, I'm like, yo, like, where do you want to grab some food or whatever? She's like, well, I don't really fucking know. Like, I mean, do you like sushi? And I'm like, yeah, I kind of fuck with sushi. It's not that expensive either. So we went to this sushi place. We're driving on the way to this. It was like maybe 30 minutes away, this sushi place. I think it was, what was it called, bro? It was really fire, actually. I think it was called, like, it was something like tuna, like, I don't know, wild tuna? I don't know. Either way, really fucking fire. I used to go to this place every now and then. I knew of it. So we're riding up to the sushi place. We've got about a 30-minute drive, and, we're conversating a little bit. She's like, oh, so, like, do you sell a lot of blow? Like, can I hit you up for more? Or did you just kind of have some extra? And I'm telling her, I'm like, well, I don't sell coke. Like, I'm not a coke dealer, but I'm a coke addict who needs money to support it. So I will sell a gram every here and there. And that's all she needed. She's like, oh, well, all I ever buy is grams. So far, so good. We're getting along, conversating. Things are going cool. Maybe I got a new friend here. So we're riding up and we're getting closer to the sushi place. And the water issue in my car only happens when you get past a certain speed. Up to this point, we'd only been driving like maybe 35 or 40 miles an hour because there was a fair bit of traffic. And also we were on like fairly main roads where the speed limit wasn't much higher than like 40, So, and on top of that, I drove really carefully in this car because this was a cop magnet, dude. It is a maroon red 1994 Cadillac DeVille. Go look this car up right now. It looks like something straight out of San Andreas. It's fucking hilarious. So, while I'm driving, and, I'm driving pretty carefully at this point, despite being fairly coked up, couldn't really feel my face very much. But we get to a point where I start speeding up a little more. We're maybe 10 or 15 minutes out of the restaurant at this point, and I start speeding up to try to get there, and the water comes flowing. Now, she doesn't notice it at first, and admittedly, I probably should have warned her about this, but I just thought nothing of it because almost all my friends at this point knew about the issue, But I thought nothing of it because I was coked up and fucking stupid. So the water starts coming out of the passenger side, and I'm not talking like a little drip. I'm not talking like a little, like a continuous drip or even a tiny stream. It's like a little like gremlin is hiding in my engine bay. And whenever I go past 45, this guy just like pops open my glove box and just dumps water on the passenger. It's fucked. It's like just squeezing a water bottle as hard as you can from my engine bay down into the fucking passenger side. It's crazy, and it would only ever happen on the passenger side. So as I start to drive a little faster, this happens. And listen, my car was ready to squirt. I'm not gonna lie, dude. That whip was a squirter, I'll tell you what. So it had been building up all day. I found by driving this car that if I could kind of get it to squirt a lot, it would stop, like, the amount would go down. It wasn't like consistently every time I got above 45, it would do the same amount. If I like really revved it and gassed it and then slowed down a few times, I could get most of the water out. So then when I accelerated for maybe the next 30 minutes to an hour, it would just be a little drop. But it was fucked either way. So this water spills out all over the floor of the passenger side, conveniently where this girl has her purse, directly in between her legs on the floor. Now, I think nothing of it, even though I hear the water coming at first, but this woman lets out like a fucking scream. Like, I shit you not, I thought she just got shot the way she let out like a yell. She's like, ah! She's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, what is this shit? And I was so shook by this that I pulled into a parking lot, dude, because I didn't understand what was happening at this point. I didn't get that she got wet. I was like, dude, like, why are you fucking freaking out? Like, what happened? So I hit a right, and I pull into this little parking lot. And I park it, I'm like, yo, are you good? Like, what happened? She's like, there's water all fucking over. Like, what the fuck is this? She's pissed as fuck. Now, granted, yes, her purse got wet. Yes, her shoes might have gotten a little wet. Maybe she had every right to be mad. Should I have warned her? Yes, okay? And I was like, oh, like, I'm so sorry. Like, sometimes my car does that, like, when I accelerate a little bit. And the tone of our conversation shifted entirely after this. It went from like, oh, you sell coke? Oh, you do YouTube? Yeah, good. To now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, why the fuck don't you get that fixed? Like, she was pissed. You could hear it in her voice. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to need more cocaine for this night. We're already on the way to the sushi place, so this is already just a shit show. So she's like, oh, why the fuck didn't you get this fixed? Like, that's so stupid. Like, you should get this fixed. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, I don't really want to put that kind of money into this car. Like, it's a pretty cheap car to begin with. I paid like fucking $2,500 or $3,000 for the thing. And she's like, oh, like, can you not afford to fix it? Now, that's a real rude comment. You fucking asshole. Considering you hit me up and you buy only a gram and you ride in my car to go to get a lunch, right? But it gets worse. The audacity only expands at this point. You guys can probably hear the fucking anger in my voice. The audacity from her only gets worse. So she's sitting there and she's like, oh, why the fuck don't you get this fixed? And like, oh, can you not afford it? And I'm coked up, so I'm feeling a little reckless. And I'm like, I look over to her and I'm like, well, shit, you probably couldn't either. And she gave me the meanest fucking look. She's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you don't have to say shit like that. And I'm like, well, shit, you don't have to say I can't afford it either. So at this point, it's fucking awkward, dude. I don't want to necessarily just boot her out of my car or like just hit a Yui and drop her off, because at this point, like, she's good friends with one of my good friends, you know? So like, I don't want to have this beef, you know? If we can just get through this sushi lunch and just drop her off and I never serve her cocaine again, we're good, right? So we finally make it over to this tuna place, and the whole time, this sushi place, and she is just complaining the whole fucking time nonstop, dude. Like, listen, I get it. I'm sorry your shoes are wet. Like, I get it. I'm sorry your purse got a little wet. But the purse is not cloth. That shit was leather. So realistically, you're gonna be okay, right? I promise you're gonna... It's not like she had some fucking Balenciagas on, dude. It's not like she was rocking some red bottoms, bro. They were Converse, dude. You could piss on a pair of Converses, and they'd probably look identical to how they did before. So I don't want to hear it. But we get to this sushi place, right? We're chilling out, and we sit down, and I want to emphasize real quick here that this was not a date. We did not schedule this to be a date. I did not offer to take her out for lunch. She asked me to go out for lunch. So I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm down to grab some food. I'm kind of, I could go for a little something. I haven't eaten all day because I'm a coke addict. Let's make it happen. So we get to this tuna place and we sit down. And it's kind of nice because how they had it laid out was they have these tables and they have like the full sushi bar experience. You get to sit up front, chill at the sushi bar. So we go and we sit up at the sushi bar, right? We're chilling out, and the dinner was pretty uneventful, I wasn't really trying to, like, flirt with her, like, get to know her. I was just literally trying to get some food with one of my friend's friends, So it was a little bit awkward, because, like, she kept asking me at the dinner, like, more questions about my job, which I just found very strange, because, listen, if you have a question for me about, like, being a YouTuber, like, I understand a lot of people are curious about that, right? It's a different kind of thing to do for a living. But it's the way that she just relentlessly wouldn't let up on it. Mind you, I had, like, maybe 100K subs at this point, which is a lot, but nowhere near where I'm at now. So, like, back then, it's like 100K isn't an insane amount. It's not enough for someone to be this intrigued by it, dude. So I'm sitting here, and she's just asked, she's like, oh, so how long have you been doing it? And she asked once again, after maybe 5 more bullshit questions, she's like, so, like, how much do you make a week? She rewords the original question. Instead of how much you make, now it's how much do you make a week? And I'm realizing pretty quickly that this woman seems really focused on my income and what I can afford. So there's one of two things happening here. Either A, she's going to get her low-key boyfriend to come rob me at some point or another if I come serve her again, or B, she is trying to flirt with me lightly to see if I have money, which is just disgusting conduct. I spit on that conduct. Disgusting, right? So I'm kind of juking the questions. And once again, I just say, enough, That's typically my answer. Like, if someone ever asks me how much I make doing something, I just say enough, Like, yeah, I make enough, I'm happy, Whatever. Back then, truth be told, I was fucking pissed, broke, dude. But I'm not going to say that to the woman. I'm not going to sacrifice my ego when this woman is testing me so hard, so I just say enough. Realistically, back at this point in my life, I think I made total across everything I did. I made like maybe $1,500 a month at this point. Like, not much at all. Like, you could make more than me putting in like 25, 30 hours a week at a fucking Taco Bell, Like, I was not hooping, dude, by any means. But she's sitting here and she sees my sub count. And she's like, or not sees my sub count, but like, she sees that I do YouTube, and I guess she's heard about it somehow. So she's like, oh, fucking, like, asking all these questions. And I'm sitting here and I'm having none of it. So the rest of the meal is kind of quiet. I kind of try to change the conversation a little bit. And I'm like, oh, like, so what do you do? Like, how do you spend your time? What do you do for work? And she's telling me that she works at some pet store. So I'm like, oh, like, that's cool. What kind of animals do you like? Trying to change the conversation in any way possible. And it did work, I will admit. However, a lot less enthusiasm coming out of her after that second round of grilling me on Dude, it felt like I was on a game show with the way this woman was grilling me. I didn't sign up to play 20 questions. I signed up to sell cocaine and eat sushi. That's it. None more. And she wanted me to enlist in a lot of other activities. So, I'm not having any of it. I'm sitting there and I'm trying to change the conversation, and we finish up our meal pretty quickly, and finally, it's time to pay. Now, they come over and ask us if we want to pay it together or separately. She blurts out together before anything. Now, in the back of my mind, I know exactly what's going on here. She wants me to pay the whole damn bill. She invited me out for lunch. There was never any context of this being a date or someone taking the other person out. She just asked if I wanted to grab some goddamn sushi. And I wanted to grab some goddamn sushi for myself, not for the both of us. So she does that together shit. And I'm still not trying to say anything because I'll wait to see what she does with the check, right? So they bring over our check and they slide it to us. And they put it kind of in between us, right? And I'm sitting there for a minute, and I don't grab the check immediately. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, all right, well, you said together, so how are we doing this? How's this playing out? So we've got this together tab, and it's in between us, and she kind of nudges it towards me a little bit, which I'm not going to lie, I was fucking pissed at this point. Like, prior to this, it's like, yeah, okay, this girl's a little bit irritating. We don't really get along. I'll drop her off. But now at this point, I'm actually fucking pissed. So, of course, I pull the old bait and switch, right? I tell her, I say, listen, we got to split this bill. We got to split it, right? And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, why? And the fact that she had the nerve to even say, what do you mean or why, blew my fucking mind. I was really trying to control my frustration here because I'm sitting here and I'm like, dude, I see your game. You witch. I see your game. She wants to buy the Coke from me and then try to finesse me into taking her out for sushi so she can recoup some of that Coke money in the form of sushi. I don't play those fucking games. Our bill was about $80, and that's including when we tipped. So I pulled two 20s out of my pocket, and I put them right on the bill. And she's sitting there, and she's looking at me. And I say to her, I'm like, this is all I can pay. This is all I can afford. Because she kept making those comments earlier about how I couldn't afford to fix the car. So clearly, there's no way I can afford the sushi. So I slapped my 40 on there, and I'm like, well, I mean, that's all I can afford. I wanted to split the bill, but you didn't give me time to. So she's fucking pissed at this point. She's giving me the meanest mug I've ever seen in my life. And she pulls another $40 out of her purse. And luckily, her slightly wet, her damp purse, which, you know what? Fantastic. I'm glad that purse was damp. I hope it suffered water damage. But back on topic here. So she pulls out her $40 and puts it on the check. And we tip the fuck out. I didn't even finish all my sushi, dude. I still had a few pieces on my plate, and I would have loved to eat them, but at that point, it wasn't worth it. Get me away from Miranda. So we get out and we get back into my car, and it is the most awkward car ride of my life. Because we're driving back and we're about 30 minutes out of her house. And I didn't even have to ask if she wanted to go home or if I should take her home. I was just fucking doing it. No ifs, ands, or buts. So we get back in the car and almost no words are spoken. I don't even want to bother arguing about this because this is the first time I've ever hung out with you in person. Fuck off, whatever, we'll never speak again. So we're riding in the nice old caddy, and at this point, all right, I might have gotten a little petty here, I'll admit. I may have gone out of my way to accelerate a little bit more just to increase the water sports coming out of that passenger side. And she was just sitting there, and it was hilarious because every time it would happen, she'd be like, "Oh my God, like, why the fuck do you keep doing, like, why the fuck does the car keep doing that? Like this is so shitty." Like, she just, after I kept doing it was like the third or fourth time, and she just started berating my car. She's like, "This car's so shit, like, why don't you fucking upgrade this? Like, like, you gotta get this fixed. Like, I would never drive around like this." Meanwhile, I'm sitting here and I'm like, you're the one who asked for delivery, which means me to believe you might not have a goddamn car, so I don't want to hear it. You also tried to finesse me out of the sushi, so I really don't want to hear it. The rest of the car ride home was disgustingly silent. It was terrible. One of the most tense moments of my life. But I'm telling you right now, when I pulled in her driveway and she got out of my car without saying a damn word to me, I knew that I was free. Finally free. And I felt fantastic. Never again did I serve this woman or really hang out with her ever. I think I bumped into her one time when I went to link up with Alyssa, but that was very brief, and thank God for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this story. Drop a like if you did, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, gamers.